technology that is built for your every sense. Acer Pure from Acer.
Move on, viewers. Is Prime Minister Modi avoiding U.S. President Donald Trump's phone calls? Well, if reports are to be believed, then the answer is yes. A German newspaper has made some sensational revelations. As per German media, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not answering calls by Donald Trump. In fact, as per reports, he has been trying to speak with Prime Minister Modi. He's called at least 4 times in recent weeks. But there has been no response from the other side, as per this claim by the German newspaper there. Now, this comes amid nose-diving relations between India and the United States of America. This report has not cited the source of these claims, but it mentions that perhaps Prime Minister Modi is unhappy with Trump's dead economy remark. No response reflects anger as well as caution. And Prime Minister Modi does not want to fall in Trump's trap. That's what this German newspaper has claimed. Now, Indian government has not confirmed these claims so far. According to MEA, last time Prime Minister Modi spoke to Trump at the president's request, and that was on 17th of June. Let me go across to my colleague Rishabh, who is joining us live right now for more on this. Rishabh, good morning. These are some sensational claims that have been made. And what is it that the government has to say?
Well, Hina, if we talk about Donald Trump has been making statements after statements about the India-Pakistan ceasefire, or which India calls an understanding for that matter. But India has time and again negated these claims. And now, many within the Ministry of External Affairs as well as Government of India suggest that these claims are misplaced and there was no call. And, we spoke to senior officials within External Affairs Ministry as well, and they cite 2 video evidences where after returning or while returning from G7 in Canada, Foreign Secretary very categorically clarified that there was no call between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi during the time of Operation Sindoor. Even in Lok Sabha, when External Affairs Minister was speaking during the debate of the Operation Sindoor, or for that matter, when he made a statement on Operation Sindoor, he very categorically said that there was no such call that has taken place. So these are the on-record statements that have come in. Many within the establishment suggest that Donald Trump is not correct when he says that there was a call between Washington and New Delhi, and it was President Trump and Prime Minister Modi discussing, and it was on the behest of President Trump that India agreed to cease fire. So India, time and again, and yet again, has negated what Donald Trump, the President of the United States, has suggested on the turn of events during Operation Sindoor.
The kind of revelations that have been made are also quite interesting, because we know that Trump clearly is perhaps wanting India to perhaps buckle under his pressure. He wants India to open up its agriculture sector. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also in the recent past, Rishabh, in fact, has not really yielded to that pressure. Prime Minister Modi has made it absolutely clear that we are not going to let go of our agriculture sector. We are not going to make our farmers or small traders suffer, even if he will have to pay, some kind of personal cost or economic cost. He's not going to buckle under pressure, isn't it?
If we talk about the ceasefire, and let's for a moment agree to what Donald Trump is saying. He said that if India agrees to ceasefire, the tariffs will not come in. And if Trump is to be believed that that was the reason that ceasefire has happened, then why this 25% initial and then 25%?
Right, Rishabh, I'm just interrupting you there. Request you to please stay on with us. We are joined on the phone line by Sushant Sareen, who is a strategic affairs expert. Good morning, Mr. Sareen. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first reaction to this sensational claim by a German newspaper, wherein it mentions that Prime Minister Modi avoided at least 4 calls from Donald Trump in the last few weeks.
Look, I am a little skeptical about this claim, because there is, there is no veracity of what this claim is. Now, the thing is that the Prime Minister had mentioned in the Parliament that when the Vice President of the United States was trying to get in touch with him on the night of 9th and 10th May, he wasn't able to take the calls, and after that he returned his call. Now that comes from an authoritative source. This is a source-based story, the veracity of which is doubtful. And frankly, I would imagine that if indeed there was an attempt from the American president to contact the Indian Prime Minister, the Prime Minister would take his call. Remember that he took his call in June when he was in Canada, and he was forthright enough to deny him a meeting in Washington, which President Trump was trying. So I'm not going to buy this story on its face value until there is something else to back it up with.
Okay.
And which we don't have right now.
Okay. I'm also not lending credence to what this report is citing, but going by how Donald Trump has behaved, how he has specifically targeted India in the last few months, how he's singling out India when it comes to tariff trauma. Do you think there is something definitely happening behind the scenes? There is something that's really happening that is the reason why we are getting 50% tariff, but China, which is the largest importer of Russian oil, is nowhere close to where we are?
No, I would imagine there's a lot happening behind the scenes which we are not aware of. Now, this could be simply a negotiating tactic on behalf of the U.S. president to try and force India to open up some of the markets and some of the protected sectors with which the livelihoods of millions of people are involved, and India is not ready to do it. Now, it could be a pressure tactic on that count. It could be other issues which are getting lumped together with this. It could be somebody feeding the American president on how to try and sort things out, not just with the Russians, but also with India. But I think the last statement which we are now hearing, I think yesterday's cabinet meeting in the U.S., seems to actually validate the position that India had taken. What does Trump say in that particular clip which is going viral? He says that he spoke to Mr. Modi, and then he spoke to the Pakistanis, and he warned the Pakistanis to not think of doing anything nuclear. That would be crazy. And he told them to back off, otherwise there would be no trade deal with them, and he would punish them so hard that they would not know what has hit them. And then he says that within 5 hours the Pakistanis succumbed, and they agreed to a ceasefire. Now, This is exactly what the Indians have been saying, that there was no trade talk with us. Trump does not say that he threatened trade sanctions on India. He says he threatened trade sanctions on Pakistan. He very clearly says that he put pressure on them. And the fact of the matter remains that this is exactly what India has been insisting right from day one. So in that sense, he kind of backs up India's position. Perhaps he feels a little let down that India did not thank him or acknowledge the role he played in making Pakistan back down. But India does not acknowledge it because India is convinced that it was the force of Indian arms that forced Pakistan to go running to their daddy in America and then ask the Americans to intercede, something which they have done in the past. You remember Kargil? When Nawaz Sharif went scurrying to Washington to get a ceasefire? We didn't back down even then. It was the Pakistanis who backed down, and we agreed that, yes, fine, if they are backing down, then it's okay with us. This was exactly the position we took during Op Sindoor, that if the Pakistanis stop firing, we'll stop firing, which is exactly what they did. Now, if Trump wants credit for it, I think he can take some credit for making the Pakistanis back off, but the Indians believe that this was because of our response to Pakistan that forced them to back off. And I suppose that could be a bit of a communication gap between India and the United States, which could also be impacting on our relations.
All right. Mr. Sushant Sareen, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Thank you, Rishabh, for your inputs as well.